Welcome everyone to my latest Bandai to Machinations SA Figuarts review, as I have the newest Marvel Cinematic Universe release with Captain Marvel from the Marvels, so the newest Phase 5 movie. And I guess the Machinations tend to go with the order of the timeline, as so far for Phase 5 they have released Ant-Man as well as the 2-pack of Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon. The next movie on the list was The Marvel, so it's none other than the main character, Captain Marvel Carol Danvers once again. It's our third SH Figuarts in the line, following the first movie edition as well as the Avengers Endgame. And I guess recently there hasn't been that much hype around the universe, so it's kind of reflected on their releases. They haven't done much for the series. For Phase 4 they released a lot of the movie versions, and in Phase 5 of course we've only seen 3 films so far. So not a lot of excitement for this figure either, but I guess it is something I do want to add into my collection as I am building the universe. So let's start off with the packaging. This one is actually slightly bigger than the previous Captain Marvel figures, probably because there's a bit more accessories on this one. But in terms of presentation, I guess they're most of the time really spot on with it. Really nice, the themes of the colors, the logos, the stickers. We have a digital print of Captain Marvel at the front, which they always tend to do for Marvel. And then of course on the side we have the shot of the figure with the title Captain Marvel, the Marvels. And this is the look on the other side, which wraps around from the front. And of course at the back we have the figure in different poses. So inside they have included a red background, and then we also have the manual to show you how to put on the accessories. And here is the Captain Marvel inside this packaging. So here is a first look at the Captain Marvel from the Marvels. So once again wearing the classic comic colors with the red and blue and the gold symbol. And I did say in the promos I would have preferred maybe if they gave us the final fight costume that she wore, as it's a lot more different to the previous 2 releases. But I guess this is something they do tend to do based on kind of the promotions, the posters, and they're kind of playing on the safe side, going for a classic look. It's not bad. I would say that the likeness is there. First impressions out of the packaging, I would say that the overall body proportions are certainly accurate, and I do like the look of this. Of course the head sculpt is the main thing. It's not the best one I've seen in a Marvel Cinematic Universe release, but certainly probably the best Captain Marvel Carol Danvers head sculpt we've had. And I'll say it's decent when you take a look at it closer later on. I would say that the accuracy is there to Brie Larson. I do like the way they've kind of sculpted the hairstyle, especially the colors, and it's kind of swooped to one side, which is accurate to the movie. And of course this costume, we have kind of like the darker red and blues compared to the previous costumes. I like the way of course they've rolled up the sleeves, so she's kind of a bit more menacing in this in terms of the looks. And just the overall height and body proportions is a lot better than the previous ones. Let me bring in the first solo movie edition. I'm not too sure what they did with the hair color as well as the head sculpt. This one is certainly not accurate. Of course the costume is nice, it's a lot more brighter, a lot more shinier, but you can see it is a lot different to the other one. So I just noticed it when they're kind of side to side, that's not that much similar in terms of the way it's colored. And then we also have the Avengers Endgame. Once again the head sculpt isn't the best. You can see that this one has the reverse colors of the blue and red, and the shorter hairstyle as well. So certainly the newest one has the better head sculpt and the better body proportions. So here is a closer shot at the Captain Marvel figure. As you can see with the head sculpt, I do like the way they've painted it with the gold hair color, which is a bit more realistic compared to the previous ones. In terms of the face, I would say that it's accurate kind of to this side, whereas if you push it to the other side, not so much. And they could have maybe improved on the expression, but if they gave us like a smiling one, you would have probably wanted like an angry look as well. So they've kind of gone for one that sits in the middle. And just the overall, the way they've kind of painted the costume and the way they've sculpted it, I would say it's very accurate to the source. So I'm definitely impressed by this. And if you've seen the promo photos, sometimes it doesn't really do it justice. You do need to take a look at the figure in person. So as I said, it's not like 100% accurate, but certainly better than I expected. So next up, let's take a look at the accessories. So let's start off with the alternative hands. So the one right out of the packaging is the closed fist, which is pretty standard for a lot of their figures. So this can be used for like the punching poses or just a neutral look. For the second set of hands, we have a pair of relaxed palms with a slight grappler look to it. I did notice on the right hand thumb there is a slight blue smudge on it, which is a QC issue. I don't have a huge problem with this, however I just wanted to point it out. For a third set of hands, we have the full-on open palms. For the final set of hands, we have a pair of hand gestures, which is unique to Captain Marvel as it is one of her signature poses. And next up, we can take a look at the alternative head sculpt included, which of course is the one with the full-on power, the light up eyes version of Captain Marvel. And this is a big upgrade since we didn't see this kind of look in the first solo movie edition. They did include a alternative head sculpt, which is the one with the helmet look. But this one of course is unique in itself, as we have this for a full power look. And this is something probably a bit better if you're looking to place Captain Marvel in some more dynamic fighting poses. As you can see, the hair sculpt is also different. We have kind of the orange shades, and it kind of has a translucent color to it and sculpt, which I think is done really well. Of course, for the eyes, you can see it's the clear yellow now. And yeah, I'll say that this is a nice bonus to have. And of course, with that head sculpt, we have some hand accessories to go with it, with some flame effects for both the hands. And these can be placed with the fisted ones to give it that ultimate Captain Marvel look. And these are some of the accessories we have seen in the previous Captain Marvel figures, albeit the sculpt is slightly different. So as you can see, it does have that same kind of color and translucent effect, which is similar to the hairstyle. And this is what sets it apart from the previous figures, as we also have these two extra long attack effects, and it also has this kind of translucent, transparent orange effect to it, and you just place them in the fisted hands, which I'm going to try now. So here are the two effects placed on to give her that signature attack pose. So obviously you do have to get the figure in the right position, otherwise these accessories can kind of weigh her down. But they have included a bonus, which is a transparent stand, which is something that we have seen previously for their Marvel figures, especially ones that have some sort of effect. So they have included it for this figure, which is always nice to have, because you can then get the figure in a better kind of pose and she won't obviously fall over. So just take your time over it and get it in the right position, and then you can kind of create that attack effect, which does look pretty cool. And here is one final bonus accessory, or extra figurine shall I say, and that is the cat goose. And this is a nice touch since we're seeing this for the first time in the Figuarts line. Of course, it doesn't have any articulation, you can't do any crazy poses with it or attack poses, but it is something nice to have with Captain Marvel. So you just got to get it in the right poses and then you have another cool look. And now we can test out the articulation, so the movement of the figure. So let's start off with the head sculpt. So obviously with the unique hairstyle, there will be some limitations like moving it left and right. But of course it does have a rotation, you just got to move the head upwards slightly, and then you can kind of turn it 360. And then obviously it can go downwards and upwards slightly. So there's movement on the neck as well, so a good rotation. And then for the arms, no problems, no limitations, so they stretch side to side. And then forwards, upwards, backwards, and there's good rotation on the full arm. And you can also move it backwards like this, and then inwards, so it's good range for the arms. And obviously the standard elbow bend, as well as the rotation on the hand, and there's also a slight hinge as well. And then for the body, so the upper torso, you can turn it side to side like a rotation, but you can hear the clicks, so it is slightly stiff. And then you can move it left and right slightly as well, probably a bit more motion, and then downwards and upwards, so not much gap created, which is good. And then for the waist, it's the same, you can't really rotate it, you hear the click sounds. and then you can kind of move it side to side, but it's better motion on the ab crunch. And then backwards this much, and then for the legs they go side to side, no problems. Kick forwards and backwards. There's rotation on the legs as well, and then you can also have the sitting pose, which is pretty good. And as you can see, the knee bend goes really far back. And then for the boots, there's not much there, but for the feet there is rotation side to side, downwards and upwards. There's also a toe hinge, which is pretty standard. So now for the size comparison, starting off with the SE Figuarts Captain Marvels from the previous lines, with the first movie edition on the left and the Avengers Endgame on the right. Here it is next to some SE Figuarts Phase 5 releases with Ant-Man and Star-Lord, as well as next to an SE Figuarts Iron Man and Captain America, as well as next to the SE Figuarts Gamora and Cersei, as well as next to some Marvel Legends with Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, and next to more other brands with the Mafex Cyborg and the Jada Toys Chun-Li. And here is the comparison of Goose with some other friendly cats I have in my collection. So now for my final thoughts on the SE Figuarts Captain Marvel from the Marvels. Despite the lack of hype around this release, I do like it. It's probably the best Carol Danvers Figuarts we have in terms of the face sculpt, the body proportions and the accessories. In person the hair sculpt is decent. It could be somewhat better, but it is accurate, especially the alternative hair sculpt, which is also new to the line. There's enough alternative hands and the effects to make this a very unique release, setting it apart from the previous versions. I also like the bonus of Goose included, as we don't have that many pets from the Figuarts line or even figures in general. The only thing I'll say is maybe give Goose some articulation or maybe a different expression for an action pose. For Captain Marvel herself, maybe I would have added a third head sculpt, like a smiling look. And kind of going off here, but I would have liked the final battle suit instead, since it's a lot different to the previous ones especially. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's a good figure overall. It's just the universe isn't what it was 2 or 3 years ago, so it's not really a must in the collection. But if you do want a Captain Marvel, it is the best choice out of the 3. I don't think we'll see more characters in this line. You'll probably have to stick to the Marvel Legends for those. And I'm not sure if they'll go back to the Phase 3 or Phase 4 figures, since there's still a few characters I do want. But looking ahead in terms of the Marvel timeline, they're most likely going to make a Deadpool and Wolverine figure. Check out my reviews on this channel, as well as stay tuned to more content related to the SH Figuarts. Thanks for watching and hope to see you very soon.